Ask anyone which animal ancient humans feared most, and the answers tend to follow a predictable pattern. Lions, saber-toothed cats, woolly mammoths, giant bears. The animals of prehistoric life that loom largest in the popular imagination are almost always big, almost always dramatic, almost always the kind of creature that would make a satisfying villain in a story. Almost none of them are the right answer. The animal that may have terrified early humans more consistently, more deeply, and for a longer period of time than any other, was not the largest predator on the savanna. It did not hunt in open daylight where it could be seen and tracked and potentially outmaneuvered. It did not roar. It did not charge across open ground. It climbed trees. It waited in silence. It hunted at night. And it specifically, deliberately, repeatedly targeted the ancestors of the animal that would eventually build cities and write books and send machines to other planets. The leopard. To understand why the leopard occupied such a particular and enduring place in the fears of early humans, you have to understand something about how it hunts. And then you have to look at what the bones tell us. The bones tell us quite a lot. In 1924, the paleontologist Raymond Dart discovered the skull of a young Australopithecus africanus child at a site called Taung in South Africa. For decades, the cause of death was debated. Then, in the 1990s, researchers including Lee Berger and Ron Clark took a closer look at the Taung child's skull and found something specific. The damage to the eye sockets matched precisely the talon puncture patterns left by large birds of prey, specifically the crowned eagle, which still hunts primates in Africa today and is known to carry prey heavier than itself to feeding perches in trees. But the story does not stop there. At other early hominid fossil sites in southern Africa, most notably at Swartkrans Cave, researchers found skull after skull of Australopithecus and early Homo specimens with a distinctive pattern of damage. Two circular puncture holes in the base of the skull, spaced exactly the distance apart of a leopard's canine teeth. The leopard kills by biting through the base of the skull, a quick and efficient method. It then carries the prey into a tree to feed undisturbed, which is why so many hominid bones ended up in cave deposits below tree roots and rocky outcrops, dropped or dragged there over thousands of years. Paleoanthropologist Bob Brain, who spent decades excavating Swartkrans, estimated that leopards were responsible for a significant number of early hominin deaths at that site. These were not rare, accidental encounters. They appear to have been regular predation events, part of the normal ecological relationship between leopards and early human ancestors across hundreds of thousands of years. Now close your eyes and try to imagine what that relationship felt like from the inside. It is deep night. No electric light, no campfire large enough to illuminate the surrounding darkness entirely. The camp is quiet. Most of the group is asleep, huddled together on the ground or in the lower branches of a tree, close enough together that their body heat is shared. The night sounds of the African bush surround everything. Insects, the distant bark of a baboon, the occasional low grunt of something large moving through grass. And then, nothing. A silence that is somehow wrong. The insects stop briefly. A child stirs without waking. The leopard does not announce itself. That is the entire point of the leopard. It has been watching the camp for hours from a branch 30 meters away, motionless, patient, invisible in the darkness, selecting. It does not charge from a distance. It does not give the prey time to organize a defense. It drops from a tree or emerges from grass at close range with terrifying speed, takes one member of the group, and vanishes before the rest have fully processed what has happened. By the time the screaming starts, the leopard is already gone, and the person it took is gone with it. This is a categorically different kind of fear from what a lion produces. A lion in daylight is frightening, yes, but it is also visible. It can be tracked. A group of humans with spears and noise and coordinated behavior can drive a lion off a kill and frequently did. Lions avoid confrontation with organized groups of humans when possible. The leopard is not interested in avoiding confrontation. It is interested in avoiding detection until the last possible moment, and it is extraordinarily good at it. It is the same size as a large human, fast enough to outrun any human over short distances, strong enough to carry an animal its own size vertically up a tree, and adapted over millions of years to hunt precisely the kind of mid-sized primate that early humans were. Unlike lions, leopards are solitary. There is no group to detect, no coordinated approach pattern to read, no distant roaring to serve as warning. One animal, alone, moving with a silence that experienced trackers in Africa still describe with a kind of reluctant awe. A leopard can pass within meters of a resting human in long grass without producing a single audible sound. Its coat, a pattern of rosettes against tawny gold, breaks up its silhouette in dappled light and shadow so effectively that experienced wildlife researchers in Africa have described looking directly at a leopard in a tree from close range without seeing it until it moved. This is what early humans were dealing with. Not a monster from a dramatic story, but something almost worse. A medium-sized, silent, patient, highly intelligent cat that could appear from nowhere, take a member of your group, and vanish before a coordinated defense was possible. Some researchers have proposed that the specific configuration of the human fear response, the way darkness triggers anxiety in a way that daylight does not, the way a sudden unexpected movement at the edge of vision produces an immediate and violent startle response, the way humans consistently report feeling watched even in apparently empty environments, may be partly shaped by a very long evolutionary history of being hunted by an ambush predator that specialized in exactly these conditions. You feel watched in the dark. Your heart rate rises before you can identify a reason for it. A sudden sound or movement near you at night produces a physical reaction that is out of proportion to what your conscious mind would calculate as the actual risk. Neurologists studying the human fear response have noted something interesting about how the brain processes nighttime threats versus daytime ones. The amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, operates faster and with lower thresholds for triggering an alarm response in low-light conditions. It does not wait for the visual cortex to fully process an image before firing. It responds to shapes, to movement, to ambiguous sensory input, and it responds faster in the dark. This is not a design flaw. It is a feature, built by millions of years of natural selection that consistently rewarded faster threat responses in low-light conditions and punished slower ones with death. This is not irrational. For hundreds of thousands of years, something genuinely was there. The relationship between humans and leopards runs so deep in evolutionary time that traces of it may show up in behavior patterns that are otherwise difficult to explain. Primates across Africa, including modern chimpanzees, produce a specific alarm call in response to leopards that is distinct from their lion alarm call and their eagle alarm call, suggesting that the threat categories are neurologically distinct, processed separately, remembered differently. Some researchers believe that early humans may have maintained similar categorical distinctions in their threat detection systems. There is also a compelling argument made by anthropologists including Donna Hart and Robert Sussman in their book, Man the Hunted, which proposes that the popular image of early humans as confident apex predators striding across the savanna is significantly overstated. For much of the period before the development of sophisticated weapons and fire management, early hominins may have functioned more like prey than like predators, and the leopard was one of the most consistent pressures shaping their behavior, their social organization, their sleep patterns, and their habitat choices. Early human groups may have deliberately sought sleeping sites in trees or on cliff ledges and rocky outcroppings, at least partly because of leopards, which prefer to drag prey horizontally and struggle with vertical terrain. The development of fire management, the ability to keep a fire burning through the night, may have been significant not just for warmth and cooking, but because large cats are generally reluctant to approach fire. The size of early human social groups, the tendency to sleep clustered together rather than in dispersed individual shelters, the maintenance of alert individuals through the night, all of these behavioral patterns make more sense when viewed against the backdrop of a predator that hunted at night, alone, and in silence. Some anthropologists have also noted that the pattern of early human shelters at sites across Africa tends to favor enclosed or elevated positions with good sight lines, even when more exposed positions would have offered easier access to water or food. The leopard may have been one of the driving forces behind the human preference for defensible sleeping positions that persists in various forms even today. The discomfort most people feel sleeping in a genuinely exposed, open space with no walls or barriers nearby is not simply unfamiliarity. It may be a very old calculation about vulnerability being run automatically by a brain that still remembers what the open night once contained. Think about what this means for how you understand your own body at night. The creeping discomfort you feel in genuine darkness. The way your brain interprets ambiguous sounds at night as threatening even when your logical mind tells you there is nothing there. The way a sudden movement at the edge of your vision at night makes your body react before your thoughts catch up. These are not failures of rationality or signs of weakness. They are ancient hardwired responses to a predator that spent hundreds of thousands of years making them necessary. Your ancestors, who were slightly more alert in darkness, survived more consistently than those who slept through the night without checking. Your ancestors who startled at ambiguous sounds lived longer on average than those who did not. The hypervigilance you experience in the dark is not a malfunction. It is inherited caution, selected for by an animal that was extraordinarily good at being invisible right up until the moment it was not. The last leopard that killed a human ancestor may have done so thousands of years ago. The neural architecture that responded to it is still completely intact. So the next time you find yourself in genuine darkness, heart ticking faster than any rational calculation of risk could justify, part of what you are feeling is something very old indeed. Not imagination, not weakness, not a malfunction in an otherwise rational mind. Memory, inherited from people who made it through the night because something in them refused to fully relax while the darkness lasted. They survived, and so eventually did you.